Okay, is everybody ready? Thank you for humoring me as I set that up. Hopefully my class will thank you. So I'm Naomi Nishi. I'm an IIC graduate. Currently, my day job is I work for a company that designs workshops for higher ed professionals. But I also, in my spare time, do intercultural training. I've designed an intercultural training for Chipotle through University College, and done a lot of it tends to be volunteer work because it is more of things I do in my off time. But I am a trainer in my day job, just not always an intercultural trainer. So I'm going to get us started. The training that I want to do with all of you today, and it's going to be very interactive just to prepare you, is what I call the Intercultural Comedy Club. Now, before we get started, I guess I'll tell you what my learning objective for this training is. What this is meant to do is allow you all to identify where you can use jokes and humor appropriately to create inclusivity and prevent division. And how you can kind of use things and how you can also be kind of aware of your surroundings and what's happening with humor in intercultural contexts. So that is our learning outcome for, I guess, our next hour or so. One thing I like to do before I get into these things, we're going to tell a lot of stories, and I'm going to ask a lot of you to tell stories with each other, is I like to set up some ground rules, or I'll call them guidelines for the training, just so people feel comfortable and are sort of aware of what other people want to feel comfortable sharing those stories. So some of those rules are sometimes to keep everything in the classroom and not share someone else's story outside of the room, to be respectful and to listen, not to critique other people's stories because they are personal experiences. But I wanted to ask all of you if there are additional guidelines that you would want to throw out to be comfortable as we embark on this exercise. I realize I'm just putting you on the spot. If anything comes to mind as we get going, feel free to throw it out and we can definitely include those guidelines as we go. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn our classroom into an intercultural comedy club. To do that, I will need 4 volunteers, and you will be our intercultural comedians, so fair warning. You don't have to create your own jokes. I brought them along for you. But would anybody be interested? You will probably be on camera for a second. Anybody? Can we Some people are being volunteered. Yeah, it seems like
that's really funny. She might not even need a script.
I'll do it if I get a script.
Okay.
Mark raises his hand.
Mark. Thank you. Anybody else? They're real simple. One's really short.
Only ever vaccinated. One more.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, really?
So, take a minute to review your joke, to prepare. And if you're ready, and my notes are in order, and I brought a prop, I'm going to now turn our classroom into the Intercultural Comedy Club, and I will be your MC. Welcome to our Intercultural Comedy Club. I'm Naomi Nishi from the United States of America, here to MC our Intercultural Comedy Club. Without further ado, I'm going to get right to our comedians, and they come from all around the world. Oh, thank you. Our first comedian is from China, and I'm going to ask her to come on up. And what's your name?
Anna.
Anna. Would you like Mike?
Yes. So,
Take it away.
go. All right. So, Prime Minister Jiang was fond of handwriting, but he didn't put a lot of effort to do his exercise. So everybody sneered at his bad handwriting, and the Prime Minister himself didn't really care. One day, he happened to draft a beautiful sentence, and at once wielded his writing brush to write it down. There were dragons and snakes dancing all over the paper. Then he ordered his nephew to copy it. When beginning to copy, his nephew stared tongue-tied and did not know where to start. The young man had to take the manuscript back to the Prime Minister. "Uncle, I can't read your handwriting. Please tell me what words they are." The Prime Minister read his cursive hand a long time, and he did not know what Chinese characters they were either. He then turned to blame his nephew. "Why didn't you come earlier to ask me? I myself have forgotten the words which I've written." Hilarious.
Every time. Thank you, Anna. Our second comedian is from India and is still preparing in the back. Right.
Tough shoes to fill.
And what's your name, sir?
Can you believe that, Mr. King?
What's your name?
My real name or my...
How did you make an Indian name?
Sorry, I'm new to this country. I'm still getting adjusted. Was lost in translation, I suppose. All right, so Mr. Harpreet Singh Gulati is traveling from Moscow to Turnpur, which is the capital of Khalistan, by the Kith Pacific. Seated next to him is Gary Kasparov, and Gary asks whether he would like to play chess to kill time. Gulati says, "Oh yeah, Gary, you think I don't know who you are? I can't compete with the world champion." Gary says, "Well, how about if I play left-handed?" Gulati thinks about it for a while and says, "All right, cool." Gulati is demolished in 4 moves, and he's very upset throughout the rest of his journey. On landing, he meets with another friend named Manpreet Singh and says, "Hey, you know what? I played chess with Gary Kasparov, and he defeated me in spite of him playing left-handed." Manpreet says, "Oh yeah, Ulu Dapathy, he sure did fool you. You know what? Gary's left-handed."
Thank you so much.
India trumps
Our third comedian is from the Ukraine. Where did I put it? Oh, there she is. And your name, ma'am?
Gary Busey, hello. I've got just a little short and sweet one for you today. What do you call a Ukrainian rowboat? Anyone? A hunky-dory!
Brilliant. And last but not least, our fourth comedian is from Jamaica.
All right. This boy wanna walk on down the road, and the car lick him down. Him wanna bleed, and him did knock out. Somebody say, "Get the boy some sugar and water, nah." The boy get up and say, "Get me some bun and cheese too." Boo!
Brilliant. Thank you so much to all of our comedians. I will now transform us back into our classroom. Thank you for participating. So were any of these jokes funny? Anybody? Were the jokes themselves funny?
I probably would have laughed at
The left-handed, you got it? Yeah.
Stop
Sure.
Thank you for implying I was funny. It was the
The
joke.
second part of it was kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah, even just the first part was...
First part's good.
Kind of long.
Okay, yep. And we had brilliant performances, so they were all funny in their own right. I wanted to work with all of you to kind of list some of the context of these jokes, or context of humor in general, to sort of dissect what's going on with these jokes, because in theory, these are funny to some people somewhere. They were all found online. Can anybody start me off with kind of a contextual element that you think makes these jokes funny, perhaps?
Like something if we knew that it was...
Yeah, and you can broaden it out, just what could possibly be going on, or what contexts would make these sorts of jokes funny? Like the left-handed thing, do you have to know anything beforehand or the background in terms of who Gary was or who Goopri, whatever?
Well, you have to know that you play chess as a board game and you can use either hand. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I guess if you didn't know anything about chess, you might be like,
Yeah, so I mean, I guess even, we could just say entertainment. What about the Chinese joke? You think there was
Education.
education? Yeah.
I kind of thought of power distance, like really.
For the Ukrainian joke, you need to know what a dory is or.
Okay, yeah.
A hunky or a dory.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I don't know if like the dory is hunky or if the
The
hunky
hunky
is
is dory.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
good.
Yeah.
Jane, thank you.
Terminology.
Chicken of the egg, chicken of the egg.
With the Jamaican joke, you have to be able to understand the dialect.
I did my best.
You did it.
That reminded me of like slap the bass.
Any other context? Think about jokes that you tell or that you hear. What make those jokes funny to you, or what do you have to understand for them to be funny?
Like common things that happen every day in society.
Yeah.
Pop culture.
History,
Observations,
culture,
yeah.
Like puns and plays on words.
Mm-hmm.
Even childhood, like upbringing.
Uh-huh, yep. I call those cultural starting points.
I would say sometimes if something is explicit, you know, like, but like, like the content is explicit, but you know.
Like sexually explicit?
No.
Almost like high context, low context.
Some jokes are,
idea?
you know what I mean?
But like thrown in at an awkward moment.
Well, yeah, like, but like, you know, like maybe the inappropriate timing, or you know,
Yeah.
sometimes, because like people have bad humor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or poor taste.
Timing, I guess.
Maybe I'm saying I do. I don't know.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, right. So.
Would it be fair to kind of put that on like the high context, low context spectrum? Like some jokes in a more low context culture might need to explain every piece of it or would, whereas high context cultures maybe wouldn't and people would understand those sorts of things. Is that making sense? Anything else?
What about sarcasm? I know none of these jokes, well, I don't know.